Welcome. This 45-minute webcast was developed for Alexandria City Public School teachers and staff to become more aware of the importance of family engagement, as well as to reflect on your own levels and types of family engagement practices. This production was developed by the ACPS Autism and Behavior Team in collaboration with the Virginia Commonwealth University Autism Center for Excellence. The resources were made possible by a generous grant from the Virginia Department of Education. We hope you find the information relevant and helpful in your work with students and families across the school division. We have three main objectives today for viewers to accomplish by engaging in this webcast. Number one, to increase the knowledge base of family engagement, the definition, the components, and the strategies to increase involvement. We want to help understand the importance of engaging with families as a means to improve student achievement. And lastly, to learn about a self-assessment tool that can improve levels of family engagement. Everyone watching this production will have different ideas and opinions about their own efforts to improve family engagement and the current levels with your related activities. Our overarching goal is to improve everyone's knowledge about family engagement with a set of distinct activities and practices, and to help viewers gain insight about their own areas of strength and needs related to this topic. Now, just as a reminder, did you click on the pre-assessment before watching the webcast? If not, pause the webcast and complete the brief 10-item quiz. You'll be asked after the viewing of the webcast to retake the quiz so that we can see gains in your knowledge. You'll receive a certificate of completion once you have done the webcast for the time you spent with us today. We're going to start out by first defining what is family engagement. The Flamboyant Foundation defines family engagement as collaboration between families and schools that drives student achievement. The goals of this collaboration are to help families guide, support, and advocate for their children's learning, to encourage families and educators to foster high expectations for children, and to enable families and schools to share decision-making and leadership to improve school quality. So why is it so important for schools to focus on family engagement? A 2009 meta-analysis of 50 research studies on family engagement found that parent involvement, especially when it links to educational pursuits to future success, was positively associated with achievement, as evidenced by better attendance and grades, higher graduation rates, and greater enrollment in post-secondary education institutions. So by providing a context for academic achievement and expectations, age-appropriate parental involvement that continues through adolescence has been associated with a lower risk of many teenage problems, including alcohol use, student violence, and dropping out of school. But all the research that exists doesn't speak to the essence of family engagement, that it makes sense and it's the right thing to do. There are numerous studies that show the crucial role that teachers play in the types of family engagement that lead to improved student achievement. In 2001, a longitudinal study of the classroom practices in Title I schools was conducted for the Department of Education. This study found that teachers who reached out to parents had higher student test scores than teachers who did not initiate family involvement through outreach. The outreach efforts included initiating face-to-face meetings, making phone calls, and also sending information home about how to support the student learning. Yet teachers do not typically receive training or support in how to engage families. According to a MetLife survey conducted in 2005, teachers find family engagement to be their biggest challenge. Family engagement is a natural result of 4 core beliefs. You can see them on the slide. that every child deserves an excellent education and can achieve at high levels, that all families care about and want the best for their children, that families are assets in supporting student learning, and that teachers are very important and have tremendous influence on their children's outcome. So take a minute and think about your classroom practice. Ask yourself these questions. Which tenet do I feel most strongly about? Which tenet is your go-to belief and value? Why do you think you feel that way? And second, which is the tenet that you don't think about on a regular basis? Do any of these make you think about areas that you might have room for improvement and opportunities for change? Next, Emily Helmboldt from Virginia Commonwealth University's Autism Center for Excellence will discuss with us teacher practices and a rubric.
Thank you, Dr. Stone, for that introduction. My name is Emily Helmboldt, and I'm a Technical Assistance Associate with the Autism Center for Excellence at Virginia Commonwealth University. For the next few slides, we're going to be looking at and thinking about the question, how do we know when we are engaging families? Specifically, what teacher activities indicate that we're engaging with families in meaningful collaboration? The Flamboyant Foundation has classified teacher practices that promote family engagement under 3 interdependent parts that you see here. Teacher beliefs and mindsets that value families and all they have to offer, meaningful relationships and communication with family members, and finally, a core instructional program that helps families promote student goals, monitor progress, and support learning. So these are really what are the actions and activities teachers can do in order to improve their engagement with families. So beliefs and mindsets. Family engagement begins with an essential set of beliefs and mindsets that value families and, like I said, all they have to offer. So whether it be a new teacher understanding the importance of involving families, or it could be relative to a seasoned teacher setting professional goals for the year. Here are some activities that exemplify to us when a teacher is promoting family engagement. Encouraging families to share their cultural backgrounds with staff and students. This can lead to a greater understanding and validation of communication, social communication characteristics, as well as increasing parent and family participation and the buy-in for different school programming. Listening and responding to concerns, fears, and experiences of families. I would say listen is probably the most important word in this sentence. The ability of a teacher to really absorb what a family is talking about, what their fears are, where they may be stuck. Also, their experiences can be a valuable source of information to inform the supports for their students. Looking for changes in parental behavior that indicate increased levels of trust and collaboration. So this might look like less questions, less kind of frequent attempts by the parent to communicate with staff, and also more follow-through from the parents. Reflecting on how school and teacher cultures coordinate or conflict with those of families. So really kind of looking at where these two factors intersect to increase awareness. On this slide, we see more examples of some behaviors that the teacher can engage in. They really indicate to us that there's an increased level of family engagement. Offering opportunities for parents and families to come meet the teacher, attendance at open houses, emails and calls, so really establishing open lines of communication and consistent ways to do so that are a good match for the families and the teacher. Certainly can be other events, offering personalized meetings at a convenient time, agreeable location. These don't have to be long meetings. They can be time limited. So I'd like to share with you a scenario of how a teacher exemplifies a belief and mindset that's supportive of family engagement. Ms. Chu is a third grade teacher at a diverse elementary school. In addition to planning for the school's parent open house that occurs the week before students begin school, she invites the parents to a meet and greet teacher coffee 2 weeks before the open house. After the first day of school, she calls or emails each family to welcome their child to school and offers a personalized invitation to visit the classroom. During the first 2 months of school, she offers several other informal family events. For parents that still have not personally met her, she'll follow up to meet them on a one-on-one basis with her at a time and location convenient to all parties. So Ms. Chu's actions really do show that she is not content to dismiss parents that do not respond to an initial solicitation for family engagement, but instead she makes repeated efforts to engage parents who may have to work or childcare conflicts that they're dealing with, or some parents may just be hesitant at first to get involved. In this way, she demonstrates a belief in the importance of working with families to support their students' achievement. Another critical component of family engagement is the development of meaningful relationships and communication systems between home and school. When we say meaningful, we mean genuine and authentic, to develop the rapport and the trust to share information, concerns, and successes. So here are some examples of how teachers can build meaningful relationships with families. They can make a positive first move in getting the families involved. So really getting a step ahead within their first few days of school, reaching out if you haven't already. Sharing the excitement of those first few days of school. As teachers, we look forward to meeting our new students and getting to know them. So extend that to the families. In some cases, making home visits can be a really nice way to connect with families if we're able to do so. These can provide invaluable, rich information about how the family communicates with each other, how they interact with their student, the supports that they can provide, and also they can give a lot of good information and ideas for how to work with the student in the classroom environment. Seeking parental input and feedback on classroom procedures and facilitate family participation in a range of school-based activities. So really letting families know, here are opportunities throughout the year, and we would love to see you and would very much welcome your assistance in some of these activities. So it could be chaperoning on a field trip. It could be just bringing in treats for Teacher Appreciation Week. All those little things can make a really big difference if we can get a group of families to participate. Communicate regularly with families in a variety of formats. So translating information into various languages can be a very important family engagement characteristic or practice. These days we can type things into Google Translate and we can convert into different languages very easily. There are also other ways that school divisions and teachers can relay information in the family's language of origin. Teachers can also inquire about the parents' goals for their child and use personal information like knowledge of routines, also what motivates a student, what are they interested in, to guide practice in terms of homework assignments, projects. And teachers can also regularly share data on student achievement. A big thing here is teachers can educate parents about the curriculum and the expectations through shared online avenues like a learning management system or other ways that we can share information within our divisions. Also through print resources, just printing stuff out and sending them home. Certainly we know that the backpack can sometimes be a void, but doing this repetitively or thinking of other ways to pass along those printed pieces of information to parents. We can also do group events such as curriculum nights. Those can be really helpful for parents to understand how we're approaching instruction and the different things that their child will be working on at home. And even individualized conferences can be very necessary, not only just for concerns, but also for just progress and to celebrate successes. Including parents in learning-focused collaboration, including academic volunteer opportunities, and observations of instruction are additional practices. So here you see some more of the practices listed out. Another one that we haven't talked about is parent help sessions. They could be done in person or by phone. These don't have to be long. They can be done in groups. Also explanatory videos. These days of having phones with really nice cameras, we can make videos very easily. And so it might be the teacher giving a brief tutorial on what the student might be working on at home that week. So here's a scenario that can give us an example for this element. Mr. Ahmad is a school math teacher. He regularly updates families about the curriculum and expectations. He sends home print flyers and posting information online about the math courses that he teaches and the lessons. Parents can better understand and assist their children with math homework and projects, and he offers parent help sessions in person or by phone and shares links to videos explaining the content. These days there are so many online resources that are easily accessible, that are entertaining, and that are free that parents can access to work with their student on different subjects. The final component necessary for active family engagement is the development of the maintenance of a core instructional program that helps families promote student goals, monitor progress, and to support learning. What's important here is that the core instructional programs are accessible and understandable to all families in terms of both content and language. Again, think about translation needs based on your families. Collaborating to plan for, monitor, and evaluate student progress relative to peers towards established standards and compared with their own beginning academic levels. So these last two I feel like are very important for this element, including families and ongoing learning activities, including games and projects and academic support. Certainly we're not talking about the sending home a project and having the family member do most of it. That's not what we're talking about here. But thinking about creative ways to engage a family within certain projects, making it fun for the student, the family, and the teacher. Encourage parents to set high expectations in education for their children, including advanced level, K through 12 instruction, and post-secondary education and training. And start these conversations early in a child's education career. So here's a scenario that highlights the benefits of sharing data. Mrs. Santiago is a 5th grade teacher. As part of an academic mentorship program, she invites families into her classroom as active learning partners by welcoming them to share their personal and professional expertise. She generates a weekly data report on each student that explains his or her progress toward the state standards and learning goals. Data reports are shared in multiple formats, once again, both in print and online. In this way, parents can easily access and get translation for if needed, and to ask questions about the information in their student's report. So let's pause here to think about the 3 core areas of teacher practices. When you think about the 3 areas of interdependence that we've just reviewed, Can you think of an example when you've employed all three and saw improved student outcomes? Can you also think about a time when you couldn't employ all three of those components? And were there any barriers in achievement that you saw? The research tells us that one of the largest predictors of student achievement is how a family demonstrates the importance of education to their children. This concept, called academic socialization, consists of three actions on the part of parents. The discussion about the future and value of education to their children. So talking about what college they're interested in, or what colleges do they like, even if it's a basketball team or a baseball team based on their like for those sports. Can also be discussion about what they like to do. What could they see themselves doing for their careers or for their jobs once they get out of high school? Also, high expectations of student achievements. So we're not asking parents to expect perfection out of their child or to ask that. What we are asking parents to do is to get to know their child and set reasonable goals with them. So expecting that they will achieve certain things over time and helping them with that. Also stressing the accountability of learning on the student. So going along with that is to help the student develop good study skills early and helping them with the bigger skills of managing time and being organized. So now let's take a few minutes to look over a comprehensive tool developed by the Flamboyant Foundation. It's called the Family Engagement Rubric. This is used to support staff in better understanding the essential elements of family engagement, providing a clear vision for educators on what family engagement looks like in a classroom, assisting teachers with planning or time management by helping them to adapt systems in the classroom to be more engagement focused, assisting staff with professional development needs, and supports assessment and continuous improvement for staff. So when we continue to look at this rubric, we can think about it in terms of how we can use it. We can certainly use this for teachers' own guidance, for them to look at areas and assess their own behaviors. But we can also use it in part of a coaching process between a mentor and a teacher. So let's take a look. So you can see here, the rubric is organized according to the domains of family engagement we reviewed earlier. So teacher beliefs and mindsets, relationships and communication, and investing families in student goals and helping them progress monitor. Here you see part 1 of the rubric, beliefs and mindsets to effectively engage families. Each of these columns are labeled from stage 0 to 3. You can see that stage 0 represents a high level of needs improvement. Consistent scores in this column could represent a staff who may need greater knowledge or training in the importance of family engagement. Also strategies as well as peer or administrative coaching on problem solving in the classroom about this topic. So stage 1 represents a staff who may have an emerging skill in the domains of family engagement, but yet has difficulty demonstrating the skill. So really talking about implementation. They may be overwhelmed with other tasks, or they may be unsure about how to take the first step to engage with families. Again, this staff could benefit from additional supports from peers and/or administration. Stage 2 represents a staff who's quite comfortable with building rapport with families, has the essential beliefs for family engagement, and may exhibit some of the behaviors of a highly engaged teacher, but not all of them. And then lastly, stage 3 is a teacher who fully embraces the tenets of family engagement and who has depth in their skills for increasing engagement. The staff has a solid foundation of knowledge and understands as well as celebrates the connection between connecting families, building relationships, influencing attitudes towards education within the families, with the final result of increasing student achievement. Here you see part 1 of the rubric, Beliefs and Mindsets to Effectively Engage Families. Due to the limitations of time, we will not be reviewing each item within each domain. However, we will highlight a couple of examples from each domain in order for you, the viewer, to get a better understanding of the content and context of the domain. Item 1 is the teacher values and respects families and sees them as assets in supporting student learning. Is that a regular part of your practice with students? Item 2 is the teacher sees engaging all families as part of his or her core responsibility. Think about if there was a time when you didn't engage one of your families or all of your families. Can you think about, was there a reason for that? This slide shows the beginning of part 2 of the rubric. Teachers and families have trusting relationships and meaningful two-way communication. The first item is the teacher treats families in respectful and sensitive ways and welcomes their engagement in the classroom. Has there ever been a time when you've had difficulty understanding a family's culture or their language? Did that impede your relationship with them? If so, how did you problem solve that to make improvements in your engagement with them? Here's the remainder of part 2. Check out this item. The teacher and the families can reach each other in regular and timely ways. So this is really talking about the age-old issue of clear and effective communication. Has this been a barrier for you with your families? Or specifically a family? How did you resolve it? If it wasn't resolved, do you think it affected the students' outcomes? So you can see on your rubric here, part 3 is about teachers engaging families in co-constructing goals, monitoring progress, and supporting learning. This is really where the rubber meets the road. As the first 2 elements have been developed and nurtured, the team progresses towards putting in place meaningful activities that more directly and immediately affect student achievement. So you can see here, item 3.1 talks about the teachers working collaboratively with the families, again fostering those increased student expectations. The teacher shows the families in 3.2 what their children are learning. And also something very important is to help the family understand the standards of learning. What is all that about? It really helps to, as it says here, demystify the whole standards. So you can see here the last 2 items in part 3. 3.3 discusses or talks about the importance of a teacher sharing data with the family, and this can really help the family understand where their child is with their academic and behavioral achievements. The last item is the teacher helping families support student learning at home. So again, going back to how important it is to help families understand what they can do when their child gets home, to help with homework, to help with the organization, and all of that. Which we know leads to good student outcomes. So this slide encourages you to take advantage of the rubric. So you've learned it a little bit. Take a few minutes after this webcast to look over it. Become more familiarized with it. You may already have some ideas of ways in which you can improve your different practices to increase family engagement. This can be really rich information to share with your colleagues as well. I think this is a topic that we don't discuss enough, but again, the importance and how it directly relates to student achievement is very clear in the research. So complete an assessment of your practice and beliefs. Set a couple goals for the year. Do you see certain practices that you haven't been so good at following through with in the last few years. So maybe it's the communication piece, which we know is hard. But just establishing early in the year consistent and regular ways to communicate with families, and then you get into a habit. Look back after the first few months of next year and reflect on your goals or your thoughts about family engagement. Have you made strides? Have you seen differences in how the students are doing? So you already have the rubric, but here's a link to the rubric if you need it again. And there's also a link here to the Flamboyant Foundation. I highly encourage you to go to the website and check it out. There's an incredible amount of information, not only what we shared with you today, but additional information on research on family engagement, as well as other activities that this foundation is doing to improve those across the country. So on behalf of Dr. Stone and myself, we'd like to thank you for tuning into this webcast. We hope that you found this information to be valuable, and we hope that you do assessment and try some new things in your practice. And don't forget to go take the post quiz so that you can see your progress and knowledge on family engagement practices. Thank you.